Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and in today's video I wanted to bring you some information about battling inflammation, which can bring pain and bring discomfort and wreak all kinds of havoc in almost every place in our body if we aren't aware of some of these triggers that are causing it. So I've got some really great lifestyle tips, and then I'm going to tell you some of my best herbal advice for taking care of inflammation and pain. And these are things that I've personally used myself. So the most important thing for you to know is that you have a lot of power over the inflammation or lack of inflammation that your body expresses. And a lot of these are lifestyle factors, pure and simple. You don't even have to add any herbals in, even though those can add an extra layer of inflammation fighting protection. It can help speed up the inflammation reducing effects, but you would be surprised at how fast you would have results if you simply started really up leveling your lifestyle choices. So the number one thing is to add anti-inflammatory foods into your diet and make it a staple thing. So the ones that are especially high in omega-3 fatty acids like salmon, tuna, walnuts, and flax seeds. And other anti-inflammatory foods include these: grapes, blueberries, nuts, olive oil, celery, garlic, green tea, rosemary, turmeric, and ginger. These are all really well known for their anti-inflammatory properties. And when you just take the time to add some of these into your cooking routine, make them a part of your diet, you would be surprised at how easy it would be to get a grip on your inflammation. Now, the second category is the opposite of adding anti-inflammatory foods. It's taking out foods that cause inflammation. And these are foods that do other kinds of things to our body that aren't good as well. So you get the massive benefit of not just lowering your inflammation and hopefully making that a thing of the past for you, but also feeling better in all the other areas like your organs, your circulation, your digestion. There's so many things that your body will make you feel better if you're taking away these inflammatory foods. So these include, number one, processed foods. Number two, alcohol. And even though it might be fun, I mean, you got to think about this. Alcohol is something that we do when we're in a celebration kind of a mode, a wedding, a birthday, celebrating a job, or going, participating in sports and football games and all that stuff. And it makes me curious as to why we do something that hurts us when we're celebrating. So I think if you are having issues with inflammation, start taking out processed food, alcohol. Put that at the top of your list, because there's so many things that are damaging to our bodies, our brains. I mean, alcohol is a neurotoxin. And if we think that we can get away with alcohol consuming on a daily basis, we need to really rethink that. Sugar, of course, massive inflammation. Dairy, gluten, empty calorie grains, fried foods, and things that contain trans fat. So these are all things that we know. I think the problem is these are things that are readily available. They're very, very cheap, and they taste good. And our bodies get used to them, and we get used to having sometimes high levels of inflammation, but for most of us, it's low levels of inflammation that we might not realize is causing us to feel less than stellar. And we want to feel stellar. I know that's my goal. I want to walk through my life as I get older, and I want to feel good. And feeling stellar and vital is the cherry on top, right? Because that's how it should be. Number 3 in this list is exercise. Exercise gets your circulation moving. It does so many things besides reduce inflammation. So physical activity prompts the muscles to produce the growth hormone cytokine IL-6. You can look that up, which inhibits the production of inflammatory chemicals in the body. Don't overdo it though, as too much exercise can cause inflammation too. it's important to listen to your body. So if you're a person who hasn't made exercise a normal part of your day, you might have some issues if you push it and you push it too fast. So there are things that can combat this. So let me skip down here, which is cold water therapy. That can help reduce inflammation. I know a lot of times when I go on a really long hike or I do an exercise that really kind of stresses my body to help me take my fitness level to the next level, I will either do a cold shower or get in a cold pool or a cold plunge because it reduces inflammation. So there's a fine line between exercising to the point where you're always causing inflammation and maybe simply exercising every once in a while where you're trying to improve your fitness levels, and then maybe using cold water therapy to help with the inflammation. So exercise, make that a part of your daily life if you haven't already. Losing excess body fat. When you have extra weight on your body, this is not normal. This is not, this is a pretty modern day problem, is we have access to easy, cheap food. We don't have to go out and hunt for it. We don't have to go through periods of time where we're not eating because we don't have food. We have a massive kind of a first world problem, or a modern day problem, is we just have so much access to easy food. But the problem is for the most part, the easy, fast, cheap food is not good for us. And we all know that. So it's a matter of saying, okay, how do I want to feel in my body? And once you can get rid of your addiction to some of these foods, it will enable your body to lose that extra weight that's living wherever it lives on you, wherever you're genetically predisposed to carry it. So losing that excess body fat. Reduce your stress. Now this is interesting, and of course we always talk about reducing stress, but too much stress fills our body with cortisol and adrenaline, prompting the release of these inflammatory chemicals in our body. So when we have stress, these chemicals, these hormones that are released, cause inflammation. And this is another good reason to put anti-stress or stress-reducing practices into our life. Disconnection from technology, meditation, exercise can be stress-reducing. Really pay attention to yourself when you're in a stressful situation that you maybe can't control, like being stuck in really stressful traffic. I've had moments in my life, especially living here in Utah, where we might get stuck in a snowstorm, and it might take us half an hour, an hour. I've been caught in really bad blizzards, sometimes for 2 to 3 hours, longer than it would have taken me to get somewhere. And talk about stressful, because there's other drivers involved, there's bad weather, there's low visibility. And when you find yourself in situations like that you can't control, the idea is to have things in place that you can bring yourself back to center, breathe calmly, breathe deep, realize that you are in a place of a situation you can't control, but you can control your reaction to the situation. And that can really help keep those stress levels low. That one, to me, is super important because we can't avoid stress altogether, right? Okay. Make sure you keep your sleeping deep and your sleeping reparative. So getting adequate and proper deep sleep will keep your hormones and neurotransmitters at a high functioning level. So when we get proper sleep and we get into this rhythm where our body understands that it's going to be getting sleep at a certain amount of time, at a certain time, this is going to help keep the inflammation in our body at the levels either really, really low or non-existent, because this is where we thrive. Say no to drugs like over-the-counter medicine, like ibuprofen and antacids. Use them sparingly and only use antibiotics for serious medical emergencies. When I had my knee surgery a few months ago, I had to take a round of antibiotics. And it's not something I like to do, but I knew that it was the right thing to do. I tuned in, I meditated on it, because I've said no to antibiotics before in the past, but there are times in an emergency when, or certain situations where this is important. And of course, I did the things like I took a really good probiotic, and I made sure and replenished with the nutrients that would help support my immune system and get my gut flora and my beneficial bacteria, all of those, the microbiome that makes us healthy. I took the steps to make sure that those were taken care of when I had to go on an antibiotic. So saying no to drugs like that, for the most part, can be really, really good for keeping our inflammation levels low. Now this one, I'm going to actually do this one last. So focus on your oral health. Brush your teeth, floss, do some oil pulling. And one of the things that I love, besides using coconut oil for oil pulling, is to use something like black cumin seed oil. Really, really good and beneficial for keeping the inflammation, the bacteria. There's so many things that depend on good oral health. In fact, one of the things that I had to do before I had my knee surgery is I had to go get a clearance from my dentist, because you can have a serious adverse event if you're having a major surgery and the bacteria from your mouth or infections that might be living in your mouth aren't addressed prior to having surgery. So keeping your oral health at its top is really, really, really important for keeping inflammation levels low. Now the final one on here, this one I love, and this one is something that I do on a regular basis, and it's something that I actually am right in the middle of as I'm filming this video. And I was trying to decide if I should share this, but I'm right in the middle of a 7-day juice fast, and following this I'm going to do a 7-day water fast. And I will tell you, it's been a while since I've done one, because I've just had so much going on, and there was, I had my share of stress during the past 3 years as well, during the whole pandemic. I don't know if you're watching this at a later date, but this is something that is really critically important. And when you do not just a juice fast, and this might be a good place for many people to start, especially if a water fast intimidates you or it's maybe the wrong thing for you. Because if you have health issues, you're on certain prescription medications, a water fast is not going to be a good, ideal thing for you to do. So you should definitely check with your practitioner, your doctor, to see if you would be a good candidate to do a water fast for a certain length of time. I think most people can do intermittent fasting, which means you basically do a 8 to 12 hour feasting window. So you don't eat during the whole time that you're awake, but you basically have a short window, like an 8 to 6 hour window when you eat. And then the other times you're drinking only water. But what I notice, so I'm on day 3 right now of a pure juice fast. I make my own juices. I'll put a recipe below this video of the juice that is my massive go-to. It tastes good, it gives me energy, and it prepares me for a water fast. But what I notice happens is all of my joints, they just level up the way that they feel. I feel so good. My brain feels sharp. My sleeping is deep and pure. And every time I do a water fast or a juice fast, it's amazing to me the mental clarity I have, and the inflammation, it goes to non-existent. Because even though I eat pretty clean most of the time, I'm reminded to dial in my nutrition every single time I do either a juice fast or a water fast. And I've found that it's always easier to do a water fast if I precede it with a few days of juicing. And because it's been more than 3 years since I've done a water fast, I knew that I needed to do a juice fast first. So 7 days of juicing, 7 days of water fast. And your body goes into something really beautiful on a water fast. Typically it starts around the 48-hour mark. It's a term called autophagy, which basically means you go into a place where your body starts doing a clean out. It cleans out all the waste. It cleans out not just your bowels, that's not mostly what I'm talking about, but it cleans out dead cells, it cleans out cancer cells. Like, there are things in your body that get to go through a deep, deep cleanse. And when you go past a certain time frame, and usually if you can go for 5 days, you have autophagy for a good 2 to 3 of those days, where your body is just doing a massive clean out. Now, this is not something for everyone. You don't just jump into a fast lightly, but it is something that will greatly reduce inflammation. And what I love about that in particular is it gives you a reset. So maybe, I know in the past, every single time I've done a juice cleanse followed by a water fast, I feel like it helps me reset how my body holds on to body fat. And I can tell that I've been so overdue for this. So if this is something you've never done, then I would really highly recommend that you look into it, do some research, and find out what would be the very best thing for you. And get some guided fasting if you need to, where they measure your blood glucose. They take, what is your body doing, and are you prepared, and could you handle it? Because if you just stopped eating and only drinking water, your body would start detoxing so fast that it would be very uncomfortable and can even be dangerous. So you don't go into fasting lightly. You do it with care, and you do it with information and a lot of planning, especially if you've never done it. Okay, so fasting is something I would really, really highly recommend that you look into. Now, I'm going to end this with some of my favorite herbs that have gotten me through the years. Herbs that I take, a lot of these I take daily. Now, one of my very favorites is something very simple, and that is turmeric. Turmeric has some of the highest anti-inflammatory properties in something that's so simple. It's a humble little spice. And it's gotten a lot of buzz the last 15, 20 years. So this is something that I'm sure many of you have not only heard of, but many of you have made this a part of your daily routine. So this is something that's super easy and one of my favorites. Now, the thing with turmeric is that your body actually has a hard time processing turmeric to get all of the anti-inflammatory benefits. But here's the thing, when you add a little bit of black pepper to turmeric, together they work to, the turmeric or the black pepper contains an alkaloid called piperine. Piperine releases an enzyme in your liver that helps your body uptake and use turmeric by more than 2,000%. So the turmeric product that we have, we call Truly Turmeric. It has 4% black pepper, and it's the absolute perfect amount. And so when you're cooking with turmeric, think about it. When you cook with turmeric, typically things like black pepper are added right along with it. And there's a reason. Like, there's such a perfection to Mother Nature when it comes to blending spices and herbs in the way that they benefit the human body. Because not only do they provide the anti-inflammatory benefits, but they taste really good together. Now, the second thing that I love that helps, especially with inflammation that's pretty hardcore, like many types of arthritis, and I use this after, again, my surgery on my knee, is a plant called cat's claw. And we make a concentrated tincture of this called Una de Gato, which is, of course, cat's claw, but in Spanish, because it's from Peru. It's the inner bark of the cat's claw tree. And it is well known not just for its anti-inflammatory properties, but what it does for your digestive tract and your elimination tract. So in your intestines, your microbiome lives there. It's almost like your second brain, and some people even consider that kind of your first brain, because there's so much that is there to help keep us healthy. So Una de Gato, or cat's claw, is known as the opener of the way because it balances the intestinal flora. So think about that. So if you've had digestive issues, if you've had inflammation in your gut, and you maybe are bloated, and you know that you've been looking at all the factors like what you're eating, what you're not eating, what you're paying attention to as far as your lifestyle, this might be something to consider adding because of the pure benefits of balancing intestinal flora and going after inflammation, especially in the gut. And I've had many different friends and family members who've used it for things like arthritis, wherever it might live in their body, whether it's their hands, their knees, their shoulders, wherever their body might be plagued with some inflammation. So cat's claw is something to definitely take a look at. And then the final thing that I really, really love, and is something that I feel has been an utter game changer for me, are the CBD products I've been using. So not just things like the CBD rub, because think about if you have a sore muscle, you rub that on, your skin literally, a few seconds, it not only absorbs into your skin, but whatever you put on your skin ends up inside of your body. So it's super, super important that you put luscious, good ingredients on your skin as well as what you take internally. So the CBD rub, I love. My go-to right now are soft gels. I love the tincture, and especially if I want something really fast acting, I'll just put a squeeze of the tincture right underneath my tongue, and to me, this completely replaces my need for anything like ibuprofen, and it's so much safer. In fact, if you think about it, it was in the 1980s when it was discovered that we actually have an endocannabinoid system. So we have a CB1 and CB2 receptors. So our body has receptors, and it recognizes the benefits of CBD, and it is such a beautiful thing. And I think that when we recognize that there are natural, beautiful plants, plant medicine, and it's the highest of ancient herbal healing and wisdom. These were put on the earth to heal humans. In fact, just before I started this video, I had a texting exchange with one of my brothers. Now, I have 5 brothers and 8 sisters, but 3 of my siblings were Native American, and they were adopted when they were very small. They were 2, 3, and 4 years old. And I was exchanging a little texting with my brother, who is Native American. And we just had this really cool exchange about the idea that the world is shifting so big right now, and that big changes are coming, and we're starting to all see them, and that there is a beautiful, deep, ancient wisdom that is starting to be really recognized as the way that we connect with Mother Earth and stay connected to who we really are. Because we're not separate. We're not separate from the Earth. We are part of this planet. And together with each other, we can create this vibrant, beautiful health. And I love that this deep wisdom is coming back. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm going to put the recipe to my favorite juice, and also I have this really great it's an anti-inflammatory shot that I love. It's made up of the juice of a fresh squeezed lemon, the juice of a fresh squeezed orange, and then chopped up chunks of ginger root that's been peeled and turmeric root that's been peeled, chopped up. All of these are put into a blender with some water. So you've got the juice of a lemon and an orange, fresh turmeric root and fresh ginger root. You blend them up, like I said, with some water, and then it will keep for up to 2 weeks in your fridge, and you just simply take a 1 ounce shot every morning. And as I started this juice fast, I make up this shot and I keep it in my fridge, and I will tell you, it will make you pucker, but the energy you feel and the clarity and everything that you feel from this is absolutely amazing. And think about that. All natural things, 2 roots and 2 citrus, perfection. And like I said, it will make you pucker, but it is super delicious, and it will just make you glow and feel great. So let me know if you have any questions about any of this, and subscribe if you haven't. Share this if you think you know someone who could benefit. And like again, I said, let me know if you have any comments. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.